Hi, I'm Dr. B. I'm a medical doctor and I make medical education videos. Did you know that social isolation can kill you? Or it can make you sick? It can change your brain, and if you have underlying mental health disorders, social isolation can make these worse. That's what today's video is about. Social isolation includes being lonely, meaning you don't get as much of or the kind of social interaction you would like. It also includes low levels of social support, either real or just your perception. This both seems to matter. Having no social network, few or poor quality friends, and even living alone are social isolation. There is good and long-standing research evidence that shows social isolation is a risk factor for increased sickness and death. In short, loneliness kills people. For instance, research shows that loneliness and poor social support are associated with death rates similar to some very well-established risk factors such as obesity, physical inactivity, and even smoking. And these predict heart disease, stroke, and worsening blood pressure, and even chronic pain. In addition, things like depression, suicide, and dementia are increased in the setting of social isolation. So, for an individual, being socially isolated increases the risk of dying in the next 10 years by about 25%. If you're a couple, the death of your spouse increases your own chance of dying in the immediate future by up to 18%. Now, we think a key underlying reason for these effects is that loneliness impairs the immune system and reduces resistance to disease and infections. One of the ways the immune system is really hurt is by chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation we know can cause or contribute to multiple diseases like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, liver disease, autoimmune, and nerve diseases. And we know that those who are more socially integrated have low levels of inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, and that people with fewer contacts in their social network have elevated serum markers like fibrinogen, which are a signal of poor health and inflammation. In addition to these inflammatory markers, social isolation increases basal cortisol levels. This puts your body in a constant state of stress, and this constant state of stress is known to increase chronic inflammation, diabetes, affect your blood vessel and your heart. Now, in contrast, those with strong social bonds and less social isolation have an increased release of the body's natural killer cells, one of the white blood cells of the immune system whose core function is to destroy harmful bacteria and viruses. So how does social isolation change your brain? Well, social isolation can change either the structure of the brain and the nerves or how the nerves work. Social isolation causes reduced synaptic plasticity. It also decreases new nerve cell formation in important areas of the brain like the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, and the amygdala. These areas are important for memory, motivation, time management, and other executive functions. Now, in addition to structural changes in the brain, social isolation is thought to change the cellular communication. It changes the amount of neurotransmitters, which are those substances that help nerves talk to each other. It specifically reduces serotonin and dopamine in the brain. This is important because these neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, are very important in many mental health disorders, including addiction to drugs, alcohol, compulsive gambling behaviors, and they're associated with psychosis, including schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. There is especially strong evidence that social isolation affects depression. Poor or perceived social support is associated with poorer outcomes, with more severe depression symptoms, poor recovery from depression symptoms, and overall decreased function of somebody with depression. That's social isolation. Thanks for watching. For more educational videos, watch this one on ADHD or this one on depersonalization and derealization. And please don't forget to hit subscribe.